are the
Appreciate
way
it.
you should.
Well, that's what my memory was. It's not perfect.
Well, this says the court services is Bob.
Well,
What?
sir.
Yeah, but it's wrong.
So I served.
Yeah, that's wrong.
I served as the chairman because the chairman was not here.
And that was me.
I served as the chairman because the chairman wasn't here, so I sat in as vice
Yep,
because he wasn't here.
right.
Okay, so Butch is chairman and you're vice chairman of this?
That's correct.
Okay,
That's my memory.
because I knew I was not involved in this one.
Yeah. So anyway, to the clerk, we do need to get the cover page corrected.
Okay.
Okay. All right, well, running a couple of minutes late, so let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Do a quick roll call
Butch Freeman,
here.
Bob Rabbit,
Here,
David Prater,
Here at Burton Corp, David Prater.
Rick Warren,
Here.
Katie Taylor,
Will Blake in for PD.
Ken Center,
Here.
Kent Bridge,
Okay. Have a quorum,
Miles Davidson.
and notice the meeting was properly posted on July 14th. And since we have a quorum here, we don't have to worry about item number 1. Item number 2 is approval of minutes. We should have copies of the minutes from our 5/14, should have been the monthly minute, I believe, but anyway, and then we had one on 5/22. Do I hear a motion on the minutes?
move to approve them.
Second.
Have motion to set,
Well, with the exception that it
Yeah,
should
the
say
cover
Butch
sheet.
Freeman on the cover
Yeah.
sheet, right?
I don't know, yeah, okay. All right, so, we have motion and a second to approve both sets of minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 3, discussion possible action to receive the Day Reporting Center at North Care status reports, and we should have reports for March, April, May, June. Anybody from North Care?
Is he in the email? I think the last time he didn't know about the meeting and I had to text him. And I didn't even think about doing that today. Why don't you move on and I will text him.
All right, let's go ahead then and move to item number 4, would be discussion of possible action to receive the Oklahoma County Court Services Bureau monthly statistic reports.
Sure, thank you.
How are you?
I'll go over the numbers for May. You guys will have that? Yeah. So for OR, 44 qualified, 28 were approved. We supervised 414 at some point during that month. For conditional bond, we had 71 delivered to judges or sent by judges. We had 31 approved and supervised 282. And I will add for the total caseload for that month, 696 between the two.
Questions? Do we have,
All right. Oh, sorry.
do we have a motion to receive the May report?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, June, same thing. OR, we had 51 qualified, 41 were approved. We supervised 444 during that month. For conditional bonds, 79 were presented or sent to us by judges. 49 were approved, 315 on the caseload at some point during that month. 759 total on the caseload during that month for June.
Any questions?
Move to approve it.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to receive and approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm gonna stay here because you're gonna call me up here in about.
All righty, let's do it then right now. Item number 5 is discussion possible action to receive the Court Services Judicial Statistics Report.
And this is just pretty much the same information on the other page for May. That was the total number presented or sent us by judges with the number that were approved, and that's both for May and June. So 40 denied in May, 30 in June.
Question. Judge Elliott received 5 and or denied 5. Was there anything, is there any underlying message on that or any underlying comment? What happened?
Well, typically for most denials, I don't know, there's not a reason given from any judges as exactly why someone is being denied a pretrial release. If I had to guess, I would guess it's because of criminal history.
Okay.
Would be,
Okay. And Judge McCray, of course, the same thing then. And Judge Cohen.
I typically look at, what I'm looking at is, like, prior failure to appear rates. I mean, so obviously, if violence stuff in the past, they're not really even qualified, but if they have a lot of failure to appear in their past, it's hard to sign off on them unless we're putting a lot of conditions of GPS on them, so maybe that'd be my speculation, but,
Good, thank you.
yeah.
Okay, and you presented both months, so
sir.
we have a motion to receive May and June's judicial statistics.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, what about North Carolina?
Well, we have 4 months of reports from them, so can't we just go ahead and, we have March, April, May, and June from them?
I move we accept them.
Yeah, I just second that we accept the month.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to receive the March, April, May, June reports in writing, which we do have from North Carolina. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Citizens' participation. Are there any citizens who'd like to participate? Hearing none, seeing none. Board comments?
I don't have any.
The only we had was about, Connexus Cloud, that was the thing that was still hanging out there. It's not really a comment as much as it's a question as far as where it was approved by this board. I think there was some action being taken on the budget board or something to get that final piece in place. I just wanted to know where we were on the Connexus.
Yeah, where it was on that was the hangup was waiting on Jail Tracker to find out what was going on with it, so there's not a huge overlap. We actually met with them this morning at 9 o'clock and had a two-hour meeting with them. So I guess to let you guys know, it appears from what we're being told, is that Jail Tracker will be able to do essentially everything that we need. The only piece it will not do is it will not send, like court date reminders or, be able to do a face-to-face, on your phone, some sort of case management meeting. I think, is that right? Other than those 2 pieces, this is what we're being told, that Jail Tracker will do it all.
I mean, that's the reason we wanted the Connexus Cloud. I don't understand why we voted to.
I can't understand why you can't go over and ask the budget board for what, $3,000, $3,500?
Right.
To sit there, because if 10 people show up because of this, it pays for itself. Why on earth would you be against this? I mean,
I'm certainly not against it.
Well, why don't we go ahead and do it? Why don't you go ahead and make a presentation to the budget board and ask for whatever additional money you need to put this program in place? I mean, it makes total sense.
We voted for it, didn't we? We approved it.
But we can't pay,
Well, I
we
mean-
can't do the money, the county has to pay the money. The other 2 programs we can do the money for.
But those are huge things that it doesn't do.
Right.
That's gonna make y'all's job better,
Right.
easier.
Plus, if the judges know that you have this, they may be more willing to award certain people.
So everybody's got a text reminder telling them when to show up. Everybody's got, it's just doubling down on that connectivity. Right now, you just have to do it by phone calls to tell them to come. Phone calls, face to face.
How often are those phone numbers? Good.
Not very often, that's the problem that we have.
That's the problem with the texting.
It is, but the cloud technology has, the way you explained it to me, because my people change their phone numbers all the time too. There's a process in which, like, whenever you enroll in that program, they give you a code, so you have your own individual code. So if you get a new phone, you can call and update the phone number. Now, whether they'll do that or not, they don't always update the phone number, but at least there's a process in which their phone numbers can be updated in it. So it's definitely worth, and again, like, I think what Bob is saying, Michael, if you're supervising 700 people, and let's just say it doesn't work for 3/4 of them, but it worked for 1/4 of them, and you get 10 people a month to court because we just had a higher level of connectivity with them, it just pays for itself. You're gonna have, we should always be looking at what's improving our response rates, and that's, and so, like, right now, these are, be curious, we got 700 people on the list that you're supervising, you know, how, I know we've always been wondering, how are we doing on that? Like, what is this, how do we measure success? How do we know what we're doing? You know, at least fortunately now we're past the bondsman, and you guys arguing about who's better at it, you know, but we still should be tracking, how are we doing, right? Are we doing it? Are we hitting the numbers? You know, what's our metric by which we feel we're being successful? And then how does that compare to what other people that do what you do? Is it working? And how can we be better at it? And what is your metric to figure out how what your people are showing up at what rate?
Yeah, and this total cost on this is what, roughly $3,000?
It's $250 a month. That's what it is.
How much?
It's a $1,000 setup fee and then $250 a month.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah.
All right, so are we saying then that the budget board, it needs to be taken to the budget board?
Well, and I'll tell you, I was under the impression that I needed to do my due diligence with Jail Tracker, so there wasn't a doubling of work. If we're case managing here and case managing there, we're doing the same work in two systems. And what happened is that meeting kept getting backed up, and I finally had it this morning at 9. So which is where we got us to this point. Would the thought be so I can take this to the next group, I would assume policy and governance possibly, for Connexus Cloud, that we would use this specifically for just those two things then, for message reminders and case management then? I mean, as far as
Connectivity?
a face.
Yeah,
So those two things is what we would use it for?
I don't know enough about Jail Tracker to advise on what's duplicative or not, but I think what your question is, how do we be efficient, but use the tools in a way that
Right.
helps us and not double the effort, right?
Right, and the only thing I know about, you know a whole lot more than me, was the one meeting I had with Connexus Cloud and what we
Yeah.
talked about. So that's
Right.
the extent of what I know with it. Sorry, go ahead and cut you off.
Yes, so, I mean, I understand what you want to be able to use these tools efficiently, and I don't really know what the answer is other than, yes, use them efficiently. We got to be able to track certain things that we need just for our reporting requirements, like, where we had certain demographic information that we need to be able to collect and record, the connectivity. So I guess you're going to have Jail Tracker no matter what. You're going to have it. Is that right? Is this discretionary on the Jail Tracker?
Well, we'll find out. It's the best I got, because I found out today there's some cost involved also.
Well, Jail Tracker, is that what the jail's going to use?
Shocking.
Yes, and that was the concept, was they're all gonna talk to each other. So Jail Tracker, if we're using it and the jail using it, we're talking to each other. And they're able to, if someone's booked in and they're released on a pretrial release, they're just a simple transfer. So I think it's like a drop-down screen. They transfer them to us, poof, they're there. There's no data entry. Everything is there about this individual. If they go back into custody, there'll be a way to work it out where it's kind of the same way, where they're just delivered back to the jail. So that was the gist of why we were looking into this.
If I remember, sorry, go ahead, Judge.
No, the other thing I want to add to this is that the other thing that Connexus Cloud does for you, it has a way to consolidate all your drug testing and easily right now, if you have people that are required to test for as a condition of their release, this notifies them and it aggregates that information, correct?
You talking about Connexus Cloud?
Yeah. It does, I mean, it does that.
Okay.
Does Jail Tracker do that also?
No.
Yeah. So you also have a repository of all their,
Yeah, sorry, it will, manually, we would store and record those.
Okay.
So if that's what you meant, like when somebody drug tests, we have a way to document, record the drug test was taken, positive or negative, and that document is stored inside there for forever.
Inside of.
Jail tracker.
You'd want to put it into you'd have to manually put it in a drug tracker.
Yeah,
All right. Well, Connexus Cloud automatically has that consolidated, it automatically collects that for you.
They don't use CRG.
They don't use
So,
CRG?
no, right?
no.
And so, I
So with
think
that, we'd
you all,
probably manually be
you
doing
all
it
do
also.
your own, you all
Right.
just have them
Oh,
UA
I see.
in front of you.
Okay.
But, I get that, I guess one of the questions would be is if Connexus, if Jail Tracker can talk to Connexus.
I think that was where the issue was.
I asked that question, sorry, go ahead.
You have proprietary information with Jail Tracker, with the way that they store their information, it's all the same information. The way that it's stored doesn't necessarily convert to Connexus. So, and I remember I was asking if there was a plug-in that you could do that would translate and let that information flow. Did they ever come up with something, or?
To the best, and you might be able to answer this better than me, to the best of my knowledge, what I remembered is Connexus Cloud can't backdoor, for lack of a better word, into Jail Tracker to pull that information. So the folks that, when they're released on a pre-trial release, it would be data entry, and we put all that information in.
Let me see if I got this right. At the worst, we can cancel Connexus after a year, right? For this
Yeah,
program.
yeah.
So at worst, it's gonna cost us $3,000 to see how good this is, to see if it will help, cut down on the number of people who are not showing up, convince judges to give more ORs, have better results, and maybe additional information. So why on earth wouldn't we wanna try it for a year? We're not talking like spending $50,000 or $100,000 on a computer system that we're buying into. We're talking about a one-time deal, and Grant could come back to us next year and say, this is just a pure waste of money, and we won't do it. I'm okay with that.
I agree, Bob, because what you're trying to do is supervise people on a condition release. One of the things that this cloud does, though, you went over that function with, is you say, you need to be home every night at 9 o'clock, you need to check in every night at 9 o'clock so we know where you are. And they can send a text message with a GPS coordinate that we use so you know that they've actually been checking where they're supposed to be there. You were trying to cut down traffic back and forth to the courthouse, so people that would normally come in and check in face-to-face, because of the virus, we're trying to eliminate that traffic. People could check in, they could check in virtually, you could have to have the face-to-face conversation, and then also you could even know where they're actually facing you from, where they say they are from, or they're, you know, instead of just calling in, yep, I'm here, I'm checking in, but we get face-to-face, GPS. I just think there's a lot of benefit to being able to supervise somebody at a higher level, you know, for their benefit. It just adds some more, it really strengthens, to me, it would just strengthen your program.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, by no stretch of the imagination am I saying we should not or don't want to use Connexus Cloud. I just need an opportunity, if I'm gonna present this to policy and governance or the commissioners, one of the first things they're gonna ask is, tell me about Jail Tracker. I don't know, I haven't met with them yet, and that was today. So now that I know what it can and can't do, and to the full extent of it, now we can take that next step and look into this and either start it or whatever we need to do, because like I said, those two functions it cannot do, and that's what I learned today, and those are huge functions.
They are.
What type of, does anybody have to sit down and manually enter data into this?
In Connexus Cloud, yes.
Okay,
So-
so what about the one that you're wanting to buy for the 3,000?
That's the one.
That's
For
the
the
one,
3,000.
right.
So
So
Jail
it's-
Tracker will be auto-populated, so as
Okay.
someone's booked into county jail and all that information's put in,
So but right now, who's inputting into Jail Tracker?
well, it's not implemented
Sure.
yet. It's the.
Hypothetically, should it be in place, the
In
jail,
October is when
the
it-
jail trust staff that is currently running the jail will be the ones entering that information as they're booked in.
Maybe as early as October, if it happens at additional cost.
October is what I'm being told, is when jail tracker should be up and running.
Yeah, my understanding is that was all part of the, new phone contract with the jail, but,
How long would it take Connexus to be up and running?
You gotta give them the information, I can give you about 2 weeks, I mean, they're ready to go. They have a platform's already there, it's just a matter of taking the information. You'd be taking the new people that are coming in, and so they could have it up and running within a week, 2 weeks. I mean, I just imagine they can only get to, he's pretty responsive.
Does the jail tracker have to go first?
No,
Okay,
No.
so then, okay, so I'm now taking and I'm now removing the word jail tracker from my brain. I don't give a damn about jail tracker. If this is a $3,000 expenditure that would make the jobs easier, my two comments are this. Get it to the budget board. My second comment is, unless you're wanting Christ and the 12 disciples to build it for you, don't take it to all those other committees. With all due regard, including the commissioners. If you're looking for $3,000 to fund something that's going to make your job a more efficient job, and you don't have it in your current budget, that's what the budget board's for. Bring it to us. We got 3 members of the budget board sitting right here, and don't get bogged down on all of these outside trails and everything else. And if you don't have to tie it with the other one, get her done. I don't care.
Chairman, just to your point, we will have to sign a contract and BOCC will have to.
Okay, great.
And that's no big deal.
And I understand,
That's no big deal.
I understand, and we'll fund it, we understand then, but once it's funded,
Yeah.
then, yeah, and then, you know, the system works really well. It becomes a contract, I understand that, yeah. That's what my recommendation would be.
And that's why he said policy and governance, because they've been instructed as BOCC departments to, before they present something like that to the policy and governance.
Okay.
They don't have to.
Okay,
I would
They
bring it
do
to the
not.
budget board first, and then let them send it. to
you get the
commission.
funding, and I think things will start falling in line.
Yeah. And I mean, we're talking, and that's, so this Connexus company, do you have a representative that you're talking to?
yeah, Ken Taylor is his name.
Can we get a contract?
We have a copy of a contract, yeah.
You and I, we can talk about this offline and jump a bunch of the hurdles with Grant that he's going to face before he actually faces them. I'm more than happy to have Commissioner Galvey carry this all the way through BOCC, Budget Board.
Perfecto.
There's 2 other people that would probably do it for Budget Board as well.
Perfecto.
If we could just get that contract, the biggest hurdle I see with any contracting in this building is just going through that DA phase of approval. So, and that's usually.
You say BA pays up?
Well,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, DA civil.
Oh, okay.
Not yet.
I've already, I mean,
Okay.
I had already talked to our civil division because, for drug court and mental health court.
Yeah.
And because it's less than $15,000, in 1 year,
Yeah.
that,
They were fine with the
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah, we have an email on that, actually confirming that.
Shoot it to me.
When I say a contract, it doesn't have to go through any kind of bid process or anything
No,
like that.
right. Yeah, you can skip the whole purchasing act
Yeah.
right.
process because it's so small. As far as the contract and everything, I would.
Oh, well.
If you want to send me that email, that
No,
would be great.
There's a
no.
contract. We have
But
a
I'm sure the contract
It's
has to
just
be
the
had.
bid process.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
not, but,
That's the easy part, under 15,000, give me, and I'll get with you, and we can get with this Ken Taylor, give me a contract. I'll run it through the DA process, and then we'll get it to Budget Board and BOCC, and
Get her
frankly,
going.
I'll just
But then-
skip all of the underlying stuff, and hopefully everybody's in agreement with skipping all that stuff.
I agree.
Read between the lines.
One other comment, I know we've talked about this before, having a way that how we measure what we're doing, is it working or not? It's just so critical to this, and I think you guys do a great job, it really works, I just don't know how good we're doing. So, we've never quite figured out how to measure if what you're doing really is how it works, because if people don't show up for court, they show up later, you get them back in later, But I just want to challenge you to come up with some kind of metric by saying, this is how we measure what we're doing. We know we're getting better, or we know we're getting worse, because just total numbers of people that we have over there is good to know. It's good to start. How do you know if you're doing a good job, and how do we know if we're doing a good job, and we're giving you the right level of support that you need, and we got the right level of tools in place if we can't measure how you're doing? And so we can give you praise, applause, we can set you up for awards because you guys are the best in the United States at doing what you do, or we got to keep changing or better. Does this Connexus Cloud help you or not? We won't know that if we don't have a baseline way to measure how you're doing right now. And I know it's been a challenge for the last, and before, I guess we were arguing back and forth, are you better than Bondsman or not? I don't even want to have that discussion because it's not helpful. Just with you, when you look at how you do, how do you know if you're doing well or not? How do you measure that? How do we quantify it?
Yeah, and that's why we've gotten to this point where we're looking at these systems, because these systems will, assumably, is what we're being told, be able to break out anything that we want, for the most part, to be able to document that.
But and compared to what? Compared to before? That's what I'm saying for you. So we can start understanding how you're doing now. I mean, going forward. But I don't know that Connexus Cloud is going to help you stay in contact with people. We can help supervise them more closely. We can make sure that they're being notified to come to court. How do we know if it's working or not if we can't compare the outcome that we have in 6 months from now to the outcome that we have today? So what are we doing today that we can compare to 6 months from now to know if it's working or not?
If I get what you're saying is if Connexus Cloud started tomorrow, or the other one, it has just a multitude of different types of reports that we can create and spit out to go back and look, starting this day and 6 months later, did everything stay the same? Did it change?
This is a tool that this is a tool that you use for you to communicate with people about what their obligations are. If you think about it that way, and it does help you track some demographic data. It can give you some reports of people who showed up and who didn't show up. And I'm just saying in the past, whenever I'd say, well, by figuring out who's showing up and who's not showing up, you might say, well, that's not really a good number because they come up later, or that we got them in later, or their first appearance is really not the best way to measure that. So garbage in, garbage out. Whatever, it will give you a report. It can't tell you if you're doing a good job or not, or a great job or not, or an amazing job or not, or if something needs to be improved or not. We've got to figure out, this is a puzzle because it's not an easy answer. I don't know. I can tell in my program, I can measure my graduation rate, how long it takes to get through the program, how long it takes when they graduate the program, what's recidivism rate, how many people come back in the program. Those are things I can measure. I can try to shorten the program. I can try to reduce sanctions in the program. There's a lot of things we can measure, and we can make those adjustments. We can see how many people that you have here. We know how many people come to court, I think, but we want to be able to know that in 6 months from now, we want to be able to tell, has this helped or not? Because if we don't know where we are today, we won't know 6 months from now or a year from now if this has made any better impact, if we don't have a way to measure success today.
So we're looking for,
More data.
well, you're looking for FTA data. Is that what I'm understanding? The failure to appear data? So,
I want you to see, this is his business, this is your business. You guys should know, look, our goal is to make sure we do this, and I want you to come and tell me, we are successful because our goal is this and we hit this. And FTAs is a big part of that. I mean, FTAs should certainly be one of the metrics that we would want to measure.
So bond surrenders too, when he's surrendering people back, if the reason why he's surrendering them is because they're not communicated with his program when they should have been, if we have a system in place where we're communicating by phone, then that would be another positive measure.
Do you surrender bonds?
Yes.
I didn't think so.
Well, I got a list from the I get a list from the sheriff's office that showed 3 bond surrenders, 2 days ago
By,
by court services.
If they are out on our bond and pick up a new felony.
I'm sorry, what?
If they're out on a previous case with us and they pick up a felony, then those are to be surrendered, and that was determined by the board.
Okay, but, so, you do have bond surrenders?
You do with bond surrender.
Yeah.
And so we can look at all those, and I mean, if they're all felonies, or, you know, I mean, they're off, that's the only time you do it, is if it's a felony?
Right, yeah, I guess not.
That's the only time,
I'm sorry?
the only time you do the surrender is if it's a felony?
Yeah, but there are surrenders in the courtroom where the judge will actually, we call them surrenders, they're not surrenders, where they're taken back into custody, and it shows as a surrender by us.
Why is the judge taking them back?
A million things, they showed up late for court, they sent them.
Are we making, well, so if they're late for court, and now they're being surrendered, and we got a new system in place that prevents them from being late for court, that's a positive outcome, right?
Well, if we were tracking that today,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
know that it reduced that, yeah. And
Well,
we want to know by what percentage, because it's if it makes a huge difference, it makes, if it's a 0.5 point, 2%, you know, we can start looking at is what we're paying make any sense to keep paying for it? We don't know what we're measuring. I can tell you, if you come to my program, there's a couple areas that we're making, if we were to give myself a score on a grade of A to F, there's a couple things we're making A's on, there's some things we're making B's on, there's some things we're making C's on, and there's some stuff that we just got to figure out how to turn around, because it's just, we just got a lot of work to do. We're not doing really well in a couple categories, and so it's across the board, and we always know where to be directing our attention, what to keep changing, modifying, finding new tools and resources for, because we know our strengths and our weaknesses, and we know, I can show you the data, I can measure it, and with this, it wouldn't help you very much if I just said, I have 400 people in drug court. You know, it's just, that doesn't, so am I doing a good job or not? Well, should I have 1,000 in drug court? Or what's my graduation rate? You know, so just trying to figure out, I don't know how to tell you, I want you to tell me how you would like to be measured in your success, and so that I know that you know, and we know what it is you're shooting for, how you can tell if you're successful or not.
Would it help, and I hate to comment, but would it help if we recorded sentencing numbers? Because as far as pretrial release, I mean, that's part of that, this is what we've done. They've made it all the way through pretrial with us, and now they're sentenced.
I would think that would be something that would be helpful to try.
Yeah.
But maybe this is probably not the best place to actually resolve how it, I don't want to tell you how to do it. I just want, whenever we come in and have this meeting, if we're trying to determine what if this is a successful program or not, I'm saying this is just not enough data for me to know. It's just a good start. And it also doesn't help us to figure out if any tools that we have, are they working or not? We don't know, because we don't even know how to measure right now if we're successful, how successful we are. I'm not saying you're not successful. I'm not saying that at all. I think you guys are fantastic. I'm just saying, if we have a new tool, we have no way of knowing how effective it is unless we're tracking some metric.
It seems to me that they probably, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
There's got to be a best practices for your industry. I mean, some kind of national standards, and I think that's probably where you all should look. Kind of like what drug court tells us what we should be tracking. Somebody is going to say to you all, okay, here's what you should be tracking, and then from that, bring it back to us or discuss that with Connexus so that we can make sure that we are tracking.
Yeah, I'd be happy to reach out to other agencies and see what, if we were doing this in our office, I wanted to know how we were doing. First of all, if I had number 44 defendants that were qualified for something, I would want to know what qualified them. And then if I had whatever number failed, then why did they fail? Because that's next time I wouldn't pick those people to qualify, because obviously I know why they failed. So why would I keep making the same mistake over again? And so that way you could measure yourself. If you measured how many people you send, and okay, these qualified, and this was why they qualified. These failed, this is why they failed. Now you can start.
We have
making
that,
bigger numbers.
that's the OR guidelines. If they qualify, they qualify, and you guys all have that.
But like when the judge, Elliott, denied all of them, it might do good to go in and talk to the bailiff or someone and get a report. I mean, I'm sure he writes a report.
No, it's approved or denied. It's, judge might be able to help on that if there's a new mechanism that they want to create to send a report to us and explain why they're denying it. If that's information that this board wants, then, you know, maybe talk to Judge Elliott and require his judges to present.
One thing about
Why, that's the only way we would know.
They keep a lot of notes, because my office follows them in all the time, and in any case, anything that happens, there's notes on why it happened, how it happened, when
If it comes
it
back
happened.
with the,
There's some judges don't believe in OR bonds in certain cases, period, and the discussion.
So you're wasting your time going there.
What?
So you'd be wasting your time asking for an OR with that
Well,
judge.
I totally agree with you. If you've been, if they got the doors shut 20 times by this judge, and they can go to another judge, they ought to go to another judge. If there isn't another judge they can go to, then they're out of luck.
we do that. We do that already.
Well, and Elliott has
Is that for
So
you?
you're majoring
Right.
already.
Right, yeah, but as far as, you know, a reason, I mean, we can definitely, I don't know if that's something you could do, have all the judges implement a new form to write a report back to us saying this person was denied because of X, Y, and Z. I mean, if that's data that, like you guys are wanting, that's perfect, and then we can put it on a form and say, okay, there was, what, 56 denied in May. Of those 56, the judges reported back on all 56, and they said it was 40 because of FTAs.
I don't
He's
think.
giving you an example, he just
Oh,
kind of.
no, I'm giving an example too, like if we're, like for data that we want to be able to present, that's.
What I wanna know
Definitely
is,
good data.
how do you know if you're doing a good job or not? How do you know what you need to improve on and what you can get better at? And if you don't know, then I don't know, and we can't give you the resources and tools, and any tool that we have is not gonna be
Right.
helpful because we don't know where we are, and we don't know where to go. But there's national organizations, and I guess you're, you know,
Yeah.
that it's pretrial conference organizations, that they should have standards and metrics and best practices and ways to measure. And, let's just try to figure that.
We also have
Really?
CJAC committee that I know Tim Tardy-Bono has already said, please reach out to him, and he can help get information, or help in setting goals or whatever.
Yeah, I think what everyone's trying to say, Grant, is, you know, we need a baseline.
Sure.
And if we got a baseline, then we know how we're doing against that
Is he
baseline.
on?
He's listening, he could be there.
These are,
Oh, he's on?
Absolutely, he's
All right.
been texting me the whole time.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't know he was on.
Grant, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the things that we started out down this road, because this is a far cry from where we once were, as far as tracking information.
Yeah.
The one that got us down this road was the measurable here at the bottom of pretrial release without conditions. And the same thing with pretrial release with conditions, and it was the FDA rate.
Yeah.
That was the big one. And Grant's biggest goal was or that department, for the time span I've been here, has been to reduce jail population. And we wanted to know back then, how many people are you getting out? And it was a very basic deal, and we just wanted to know, what was your success rate of how many people you were getting out? And he would come monthly and report to us, got 100 out, got 110 out, got 120 out, and it just kept growing. So we've got those numbers going back for quite a ways. And then it was stagnant as far as how many we were getting out. Well, how many are you interviewing? That's that first one there, so the 712. I mean, we've worked with him through the other committees to develop this. Now, if there are other things that we need to be tracking,
Yeah.
and I think that's where we're limited, and that's where Grant's limited. If there's other things that we need to be tracking that you would like to see,
Yes,
that
we can have that
then we're-
conversation. I mean,
absolutely let us know.
we are the ones responsible for creating the framework of justice in this county and making sure that the people that we get out are the ones that we should be getting out. And if they're showing up, are they getting into court? If they're not getting into court, why aren't they getting into court? That's the most important number to me, is the people that are getting out, why aren't they coming to court?
Yeah.
And why aren't they showing up, and then what do we do about it when they don't? Is there things that we can do? I can tell you, when at the drug court conference, they've done the studies on automated phone calls, just by having a little system that makes automated phone calls to remind people. They've even done studies on the tone of voice that you use that create a better outcome. And you can create about a 10% better outcome by just using the right tone of voice whenever you make an automated message. If you can figure out how to use somebody's name in a text message as opposed to saying you have court at this time, you say, you know, Grant, you have court at this time, you get about a 3% better outcome of people showing up if you use their name in the text message, but not. And saying everything that we can do, and I'd like us to try to figure out, are we using all the tools that we have? Because at some point, 3% of a large number is a lot of people. And if we can make a 3% dent in our people that show back up, and we've had to spend $3,000 to make a 3% progress, we can then look at it and go, this made sense to do it. Or it didn't, you know, whatever that is. But there's a lot of best practices out there, a lot of things I've been exposed to in the National Drug Court Association. I'm sure they have that in the same professional organization for pretrial release that would be helpful and would provide guidance. And we could, like, you know, as chairman said, we don't know where we are. We can't tell if we've done anything unless we have a baseline of knowing if we're measuring all the right things. I'm not an expert in this area. I just know that what I'm reading doesn't help me understand what we need to improve on.
The way I've always seen their department is twofold. Reduce our population, get people out. Make sure they can show up to court. Pretty basic. And those are the things that we're concerned about on our side, because obviously both of those affect population and the pocketbook over there at the jail. So, and I would love to sit down with you three and we can go over that, and Grant can go preliminarily look at the organization, the pretrial release organization that there is, and see what they're tracking. So absolutely, and it's usually, Grant, the things that you track are requested by BOCC, right?
BOCC.
Are they the ones that tell you what to do?
Or this group, yeah.
Okay.
And
Either way.
And just to go further with what Miles was saying, is we've talked about this in this committee for several years.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff we need. And we, like Miles says, we've added so many different points of data on there. And don't forget, when we do that, it's all manual.
Yeah.
There's no database that we have that can spit this out. It doesn't exist. So when we're counting, you know, FTAs, we're literally taking a file, setting it down right there, waiting it for the end of the month, and then we take it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there's 5. You know, we can do as much data as we want, but keep in mind, we've talked about this in here a million times, it's all manual and extremely time consuming, which is what I was trying to say with these new databases we're talking about will allow us to do that. It'll give us that opportunity to document now, you know, possibly judges explaining to us why, or not to us, but to this board, we'll just relay the information why they denied somebody, or any information you want. Then we just have to relay it to Connexus Cloud, or whatever group is going to want, you know, we'll pull that data and we'll create a drop down and we'll have it. I mean, it's perfect, but in the meantime, like we've said several times in here, we don't have that access. We just don't have it unless you have an idea of what you want, and we'll do it manually, and that's not a problem either. You know, I mean, Bob knows the problems he has in his department with manpower. It's just going to be another body that, you know, and we can absolutely do that because knowledge is power, stats is power, data is power. When you have all that information, it helps you do your job better. You just got to get it. And I agree with you 100% on what you're saying. That's why I kept mentioning those other databases, because hopefully it'll allow us to do that now. I hope that makes sense what I'm saying.
I think we need to make this an agenda item.
Tim's got his hand up.
And Grant can look at some national standards, that reporting standards and whatever, kind of bring it back to us, and hopefully he'll have a better feel for Jail Tracker and what they can give him. And in the meantime, I think it is the intent of everybody that he go and ask the money for Connexus.
Ask the budget
I
board.
mean, the end result is we get it for a year. If it doesn't help us, whatever. But this way, 3 months from now, or 2 months from now, hopefully he'll be able to say, Judge Stoner, as soon as we get Jail Tracker, we're going to start doing this, this, and this, which will add to accountability. I think if we do that, then we've accomplished
I
that.
think we do probably need to go ahead and let's get this discussion wrapped up. Tim, did you have some input that you wanted to provide?
I just wanted to remind people we got to this discussion on Connexus and Jail Tracker because originally we wanted Grant to start tracking race. And because of the race issue and because of the manpower issue that he wasn't able to do that, I had the discussion with, I believe, the Policy and Governance Committee about how do we do that. And it was said, well, maybe we should go look at systems that will help improve Grant's process and Grant Robbins' process. And so I think that's how we got to Connexus and Jail Tracker. So this has been a conversation going on for a while, but I think we're happy to help from CJAC if you all want us to be involved. But that's the history is that this database is needed to improve his system.
All right. Well, I think we spent a lot of time then really digesting this thing, but I think though, again, we're right back to where we started. Let's get it done. Let's get the system purchased.
How long ago was that?
In May.
So it's time to get the money in
Time
time.
to
I
get-
think you were trying to finish up on public
Huh?
Yeah, I am. I'm about to do that.
Really
All right.
terrible.
We were on the board comments. Are there any other board comments?
No.
Is there any new business to come before this board? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have motion, all right, motion and a second, we are adjourned.
I'm sorry, Kat, can you read that? Right.
Thanks, Grant.
Thanks, Grant.
Grant. That's a good point, Judge Stone. Be able to measure where you're at.
The chair will call I'm chair of mental health in drug court still, right?
Yep, you are.
Chair will call the meeting of the, mental health, board in the session. Do I have to read the notice since I think the whole board is here?
No.
No? Okay. Item 1 is not necessary. Item 2, approval of the minutes, discussion of possible action to approve the minutes of 5:14 and 5:22.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is the Oklahoma County Mental Health Court participants, and I believe everybody has a copy of the coordinator's report. Does anybody have any questions with regards to the report? Has Judge Walkie officially given the judges notice that he was leaving?
He has, he's saying his, last day, I guess, October 1st,
Okay.
September 31st, somewhere in there,
And
October.
has there been any discussions on who's gonna take his docket?
There's just been some, not anything deliberate. I think there has been, Judge Kerr has expressed an interest in being involved in treatment courts generally, and she also was curious about, she actually, right at the time when COVID was hitting, had signed up to go to a continuing education seminar. That was the treatment court seminar, so she could start learning more about that population. It ended up not happening because of the virus, but, so I think she's, I'm not saying that she is saying that she wants to do it, but I think she's at least, as she comes visits my court, very interested in learning more about treatment courts in general. That's about the only that I've heard for, but the only I'm aware of.
Okay, thanks. Okay, because obviously we've got 222 participants in the program, and not having a judge could be very detrimental to the program real quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I'll follow up with Elliot and just kind of see where the conversations are. Elliot is very focused on making sure we get all of our cases tried. And that's just where, but he understands this is coming, and have you heard Elliot say anything about the assignment?
No.
Okay, Yeah, if you do and kind of let, report back to us next month, it'd be great. Chair will entertain a motion to accept the report of, the mental health court coordinator.
So moved.
Second?
Motion made, second, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next item is discussion and possible action to receive the mental health court budget report, and, you should have attached, 2 documents, which, well, it's probably the last two. No, yeah, the last 2 pages. One is the mental health court and, the money that's available in that. And then the second one is the, report of the, what's it called, the voucher account that we pay, generally buy bus tickets out of, which is the last page, and there's $4,600. And the last check we got from mental health court, I put all the money in the voucher account, or asked the county to do it, so we would have money to buy bus passes when we needed them again.
And the first, the 7th of August,
Yeah,
somewhere,
first week
it's
of
half
August.
price. So we've got to get on board for all of our programs to make sure that, because it's only twice a year that they offer it.
Okay,
And-
would you tell Jenny and Linda Lee,
Yeah.
because we would need to move money next week. I think we'll have plenty in the, mental health court, to buy it, because I think that money, if we already got the check, budget board will put it in sometime, right? If we got the check, I think the
Did
other
it happen today?
it may have been in. Okay. Okay. Will there be another budget board meeting before the end of the month there? Okay.
Every Thursday.
I'll make sure if they transfer, we'll
Meeting
make
every
sure we have
Thursday?
Yes.
enough money. Okay, that'd be fantastic, yeah, because we definitely want the half price still. Okay, any other questions regarding mental health court, funds? Chair will entertain a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Discussion and possible action regarding office space, no update since the last meeting.
No, we've looked.
Yeah.
You and I we're shopping.
Yeah.
We don't know if anybody will let us have anything, but
How
we're
much-
sure
how much-
shopping.
How much room are you needing?
Well, the ideal amount for everybody, for all the programs would be, my half of the 3rd floor that I would hopefully be vacating. But I don't know if anybody will give it. My concern is that I probably get a bill that we can't afford, that we can't afford. But we'll work on it. We may end up having to, flip and do drug court somewhere and mental health court somewhere. I probably will have enough space to, give drug court a little bit up on 6, but not very much. 'Cause my good friend Miles gave me some more space today. Thank you, Miles, I appreciate it.
453 square feet.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
make
which,
it work
yeah,
for
yeah,
you.
yeah, okay.
All right, slow down, I
So
didn't really give you the world.
we'll keep this on the agenda, and we'll keep talking about it, and, it's possible, Judge Stoner and Kat and I saw the 1st floor, next to which I don't think there's quite enough room, but there may be enough room to maybe put one of the mental health court down there on the 1st floor, next to well, they're not out yet, but where the DA, charge pool is.
The abstractors, I think, are moving out, so
He wants to move there?
I don't know anybody that wants to, but the abstractors, they're down at the end of the hall, one.
They're gonna move?
They don't need the space. I met with all of them the other day at lunch, and, they just need somebody up in my office. They said they really didn't need to be down there, because David's done such a good job putting all of it online.
Wow, if we could do that, that would be enough for both of them, and that'd be a really safe area, because we got the,
You check with David, and according to him, they're moving.
check with who?
David Hooten, Mr. Hooten, that's who has that
Okay,
down there.
great. Citizen participation, any citizens wishing to participate? Board comments? Will,
No comment.
Judge?
I don't have any comment. I'm not sure exactly where they are on they've been approved the Connexus Cloud, and I think they're moving forward on that. I don't think it's up and running yet. Mental health court.
I think you and I are gonna have to ramrod that,
Is Jenny not started on it?
I don't know.
As soon as I get the bill, I'll pay it.
I sent the contract to you and you right before this meeting.
I didn't get-
I got that yesterday and I forwarded it to you,
Okay.
the contract, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did you forward it, or did you give it to Madison?
I forwarded it by email attachment. I can do however you like it though.
Can you shoot, because I didn't get it. I didn't get anything
I
from
mean, I
you.
literally I sent it about 10 minutes before I walked in this room.
Oh, okay, I probably
So
didn't
I went
look.
through my email.
122, so.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully we'll have, okay. Anybody else have any comments? Great. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion, any further comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. The chair will call the meeting of the drug court, board into session. Notice was properly posted on July 14th. In light of the fact that the whole board is here, I will disregard reading the notice. And number one, first item is discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of the 5:14 and 5:22 meetings.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion made second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Discussion and possible action to receive the drug court statistical report, from Linda Lee, and there should be
Everybody should have one. And if not, I brought it.
you know, I'm wrong, Kathy, we don't have that, we just had the mental health.
Linda, what do you send over?
Yes. And she is not here, her blood sugars, I guess, went crazy, and she had to leave.
Anybody have any questions regarding the report?
Second half of
Our numbers are down, just so you know, but, Judge and I have, even this weekend, we've been, brainstorming on other ways. Obviously, our office filed thousands less felonies last year than the year before, and again, these are things that we can ask ourselves, okay, is that the reason? And since we're not really a data-driven county quite yet, we really don't know, but we can only assume. But we have some other ideas about reaching out to get more participants, and we're going to be talking with probation and parole, because the statute really allows people that are struggling on probation also to be a part of drug court. And if we can intercept them and get that done without having to file the app and the warrant and everything else prior to them being considered, and figuring out a way and getting the POs to actually recommend that earlier to us, because in discussions I had with Department of Corrections just this week, there's only one program that they fund that funds drug treatment, and that is community sentencing, besides the fact that they do have probation officers in our treatment courts. So those are things that we're gonna try to work with them to see if we can,
If you would, and I don't know if any of these would even qualify, if there's a way you could look at the 43 AWOLs and identify who in that AWOL category you would let back in, I would authorize a couple of my investigators to go out and at least try to locate the persons, to talk to them about, I hate to involve while they're technically warrants and the sheriff could probably do it, if we put 43 more people in the county jail, we'll be at like 1,930, because we've got 500 DOC prisoners backed up. We wouldn't go in, we would actually just contact them by phone or attempt to locate where they are and whatever. Maybe talk to a spouse or a family member about the fact that, hey, they would let you back into this program if you would be willing to try again and see. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it on all 43, but if there's 20 of them that you think.
Well, we've actually been running an amnesty program since like the beginning of COVID, when everything shut down. We kind of let it know, hey, normal drug court rules are sort of been suspended, so if you've ever thought about getting back in the program, now would be the time. And so we actually had several people come back in there. I just don't know how, because we've been in this sort of kind of operating in a grace period for a little bit. Number one, because we know that it's kind of chaos out there in the world, people need the help. And since we have a reason that we can flex the program a little bit, let's do that. And so we've made it known kind of in the community. The problem is, I don't know, I've asked my treatment provider to get a hold of anybody you know, everybody that you used to supervise, if they're interested in coming back, now's the time, and they can come back without getting, a sanction, a normal sanction that would normally happen. So we've also lost a lot of people at the same time, because when we've had the virus hit, and you don't have that normal support and structure and the accountability, they just kind of drift, and then they could quit showing up altogether. And so we've seen an uptick in the AWOLs, which was expected. Ours was actually lower than a lot of other programs, but we are working on what you're suggesting. We were talking about maybe kind of keeping this grace period open through like August or something, and say, hey, now's the time to come back.
Well, I'd be willing to send somebody, if you got some names for us, to at least try to locate them and see if we can get them back in there.
Okay. I'll talk to Madison about that and getting other names over there.
I bet we could use, Natalie Stringer and the person that helps her from, we just call them the Arnold Group, but they're probably gonna average about 400 people with probation violations a year that they're getting, either back into compliance or something positive without us having to go out and arrest them, so.
So we could do that with drug court, put something in the drug court, something go to community sentencing that'd be a phenomenal way to do that.
And I'm sending an email to, I assume do you want me to do it with Linda Lee and?
I'm sorry?
Linda Lee and Jenny on the AWOL list?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bob, I agree. I'm willing to do this and to flex this, and we've been wanting to do it. But you have to remember, the reason they went AWOL is because they went off, started using meth and heroin again, and they are wrapped up deep in their addiction. So when you give them a call, if you can get a hold of them, showing up is not very appealing for a lot of them, because it's just they're in active addiction. And so, not that we shouldn't try. There might be a handful of these that do want to get back in. I'm glad to have them. Most of them they're off the rails. These people have a moderate to severe substance abuse disorder. The ones that are AWOL are the ones that have the severe. So they are living in a gutter right now, and potentially, or couch surfing or whatever. These are tough ones to get back in.
Right.
But if we can get them, I'm glad to work with them. And now would be the time to do it.
Great, I'm sending the email.
And I want everybody to know, one of the things on our numbers here, we've historically, the program has been around 450. In the last year or so, we've been hovering around 400 just because of the drop in felony cases. Recently, we've fallen below 390, and we've lost about $12,000 a year in funding from DMH because we fell below a certain tier. And now during COVID, we have about 40 graduations, and nobody knew coming into the program. We couldn't leave in the program because we can't bring anybody in the courthouse. So that's one of the reasons our numbers are way down, is just because we've had all these people that we would continue they could graduate. We couldn't get anybody new at the same time. So we do have a backlog of people we're trying to get back in. But I think the most helpful thing that we're working on right now is I have a summer intern from the OU College of Law. He's got 190 hours. His job is putting together a research paper and doing a formal interviews of DAs, defense attorneys, defendants, and trying to pull apart. We have some data to go off of. We'll have a report at the end of August, maybe middle of August, telling us where we can be doing better, at least as perception of the DA's office or perception of the defense bar, of who we're missing. Because right now, the data says that we have about 1,000 people a year from Oklahoma County that go to prison on charges that are drug court eligible on the surface. They may not want to come, they may have things in their background that preclude them. I don't know what the number is, it's not 1,000, it's probably a couple hundred, but we're still missing a couple hundred people that we should be getting. And we'll have a report and some data we can act on in about a month.
Right. That's a good explanation of the report. Chair will entertain a motion to accept the statistical report.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is discussion and possible action regarding use of necessary office space. The chair will strike that for the same reason he struck the other one. But I want to keep it on the agenda for next month. Next item is discussion and possible action to discuss future disposition of closed drug court files. Do you know how much space it is in that we need for the closed files?
You gave us part of pardon me?
Oh, there was just no action. It's not a strike, it's a no action. You can do-
Actually,
sorry.
all the files got moved, didn't they, from,
Over there to over there, but she says she doesn't have any room again, or they don't have any room again?
yeah. I haven't gone up there and looked because I haven't seen them since I actually put them in one of your offices that you gave us part of an office on,
Right.
what was it, 4?
Oh, no, after he moved,
Capital?
his people moved them up to 8.5, the judges gave us 8.5.
Yeah, they're up there.
Oh, well, I'm happy to go look at where they are and see what kind of room there is so that we can, and be able to tell you all how much room we need. But I haven't done it myself, so I can't really say.
If you holler at me, I'll go up with you to both of the locations
Okay.
and whatever. And then, Rick, I don't know if you could do it, would you guys, look, is there any way that is there a small room at the warehouse that we could move them to?
I'll have to look. The DA has a room that we've given them over at the warehouse, and I don't know how much room's over there though, either.
I haven't been to the warehouse in probably a year.
I'm there practically every day for a little while, but I haven't actually gone in that room and looked. Let me investigate. I'll do that tomorrow.
Okay, and then if would you ask David if there is space? If Rick says there's space, would you ask David if we can lock the drug court files?
These are
We'll
old,
get rid of them after the statute.
these are old closed files, right?
We're required, he's not allowed to keep them. We have to keep them separately from the court files for, is it 7 years or 10?
And
And that's
Between you and me,
Somebody doesn't look-
the other option may be to
Somebody
ask
adds and does something.
the Board of County Commissioners to go lobby to cut that limit from 10 to 5 for us.
That's fine. Digitizing those things would be a big thing. I was just thinking that there's other buildings besides Rick's, if Rick doesn't have.
I don't have a small room, all the rooms over there.
I know where we could put them. We could put them in, we could take them out to Lincoln and put them in a locked cage.
One of those cages back there. That's
That's
exactly,
what-
that's where it's locked up. That'd be a much better place.
It's a whole
Great
lot-
idea.
It's easier, it's behind lock and key, I didn't know what kind of access you needed to them, so.
Yeah, one of those, I remember the record, one of those cages, the cage I had before.
Most
I'm
of
not
those are-
utilizing it. They're all available now, right?
I don't
saw
know
the
that they're
cage
all
out there.
available.
Well, I had available.
Three-fourths of them are available and cleaned at this point.
Yeah.
Commissioner Mon kind of made it
He made
his
it.
duty while he was over there to clean those things
Yeah,
up.
well, one cage that I had would
There are
fit those
some.
records, because I remember the records.
That would be perfect, because we could get, a whole bunch in there.
Just do me a favor, and remember to get rid of them after 10 years.
yeah, when I went through, did what I did was that a couple years ago, we weren't really, there may be 2 or 3 boxes now that are 10 years old,
Really?
but, and I have no idea.
Well,
where
the
the files
DA's got a
are before.
cage over there. I don't know that cage has ever been.
They're probably not even using it anymore. I bet you they
Well, no,
moved
no,
everything
their
out
cage
there.
is still there.
Yeah, they've
The
got one.
DA has a cage and it has a bunch of stuff in it, and it looks like it's all from the eighties. Yeah, there's got an inch of dust or more on it that, I mean, they could use that cage and just get rid of what they can get rid of out of that.
Well, I think there was some broken furniture
Yeah.
in the assessor's cage, and that's all he had. You know,
Plenty of places to use over there, so.
Okay, we'll get in touch, we'll bring that back to the board, and, next meeting, we'll try to get it, we may even try to get it done.
Don't you have a cage over
That's a
there?
great idea. What?
Do you have a cage over there?
I have a cage over
Is it
there.
empty?
What?
Is it empty?
No, it's full.
Okay.
I mean, it was a lot fuller, but, Commissioner Mond, shredded about a third of our stuff.
Okay.
But, we're still waiting. That's my only storage, except he's letting me use a little storage right now. Because when we moved, we had to move file cabinets.
We got your stuff
Yeah.
covered.
Okay, next item, discussion and possible action regarding AWOL, it's already in there. And then the last item is the budget report, and it's the three funds, and, we're falling into user fee account, we'll be able to, do a transfer on that. Anybody have any questions regarding the budget report? Chair will entertain a motion to accept it. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Citizen participation, any citizens, no citizens? Board member comments? Any board member have a comment?
Briefly, just, we had our, this board kind of, did not necessarily authorize, but was aware of a nonprofit account that we set up at another, for donations, that we've had almost $5,000 worth of contributions, just because that exists there, and it kind of came from our public celebration of graduates we had back in May, and so it was a great event, and thank you everybody here for supporting that. The comment I want to make, or I guess it's more of a question, we've got some opportunities in our drug court if we wanted to continue to figure out, we're trying to figure out how do we protect everybody in the drug court, keep traffic to a minimum at the courthouse. We have lowered the testing frequency, so people don't take nearly as many drug tests. We used to have 10 drug tests a month, we lowered that to 6. So we don't have as many people coming to the courthouse as we normally do. We try to lower traffic over there. However, we still have certain people that are very high risk. And what I was going to ask is, there's certain devices that are like mobile breath monitoring and patches that we can put on people that can monitor their sweat patch. We can monitor their drug usage without him having to come down to UA. There's some additional costs related to those things, that some of it would be paid by the participant, but it's greater than what it would normally be for UAs. And I was going to put together, I talked to Cody Compton earlier about me putting together a packet to present to the board about the CARES funding, if there was some CARES funding there to help pay for some of the tools that we could use to minimize traffic at the courthouse, monitor people's drug uses that are high-risk people that are over the age of 60, that also have compromised immune systems, to keep them from coming to the courthouse and keep them come down to testing quite so much, but they continue to make progress in the program because we can monitor them. Is that something this board, I mean, if as a drug court judge, put together just a request to that CARES, for the CARES funding to be used for those purposes, does this board have anything to do with that, or is that something that the court?
With exception, again, that all of the CARES stuff eventually goes to the budget board.
Well, it's gotta be, yeah,
the BET.
Oh, well, yeah, it eventually all ends up at
a budget board.
the,
But you
That'd
don't,
be an easy faction.
But
Here's
it definitely
your-
qualifies.
Here's your problem.
okay.
No, it doesn't. I would love to give it to you, and I think it qualifies, and I think you're correct. As we sit today, because I had this discussion with Judge Elliott this morning, about what can we do for the court system to reduce the amount of people down here. Where we are now is a ruling that says that we cannot give to state functions, that money, even though you're the courts, you're a county court, you're in our courthouse, it would affect us personally down here. We can't give you that because you're a state function.
What about individuals? This is money that individuals in the program are the ones that have to, I can tell them, look, if you could afford this alcohol monitor, it's $150 a month, you wouldn't have to come in a test. And they say, well, Judge, you know, I pay $100 a month for my UAs, where the extra $50 come from? And it would be up to them to pay for that. So I could tell that individual they gotta pay for it. And is that something that an individual can apply for reimbursement? Because it helps
The
them?
reason I think it would qualify is because we're not giving it to the state. What we're trying to do, just like today with the computers, anything we do to slow down the traffic in the county court building, will qualify, from what I read. It's how you word it when you ask for it. You're asking for money to be given to people that we're forcing to come to the county courthouse,
Okay.
take drug tests, or for some reason, and this would slow it down. So I think you just have to sit down and how you word it. I think you can get with the DA, that's who we asked to vet everything to make sure it's possible. And I think if you got with her and she goes over it, I think there's a way to do it. Because
I mean,
it falls,
you can put the money in my budget, I represent everybody in drug court, and then I'll just pay it.
but are you state?
No, you
No,
don't, county.
I'm a
Okay.
county for purposes of that.
But I think you have
I'll
to,
do
I think you have to do it exactly the right, we have to do it, because we misappropriate this money, and this is where I'm
Yeah.
so hard on it.
That's
We're
why-
gonna have to pay it back, but I think you totally qualify, it's just how you word it.
Yeah, because it wouldn't be money that would go to me, but it would support people in the program, and so as long as we get the language in there, I'll draft something up and let you look at it, you guys can give me your feedback. Are you allowed to give me feedback on something like
Oh,
this?
yeah, no, I want to give you the money for that, because I mean,
Yeah.
again, we went over to Elliott and said,
Wait a
what can we do
second.
to help you, because we were trying to help the clerk and everybody else
Yeah.
reduce the amount of people that are getting ready to come into this building on August 17th.
17th.
We were just
Time
there,
out, though.
oh my God, this is,
He can only run it by 2 people on this board, otherwise it would be a violation of the Open Meetings Act, okay?
I can talk to one or the other? Okay.
We have 3, 4,
He can't do
5,
four.
6, 7.
yeah,
He can,
he can do 3, he just can't do 4,
no, he can do 3.
yeah.
So he and 2 others, he can run it by, otherwise it's a violation.
And
So just
ultimately,
make sure, whoever you
All right.
pick, just make sure you only run it by 2.
strategically fixed.
Right, you got 3 of us in here
One,
already, so you
because
can't go to
he's
any others.
What?
One, he
Yeah.
counts as one?
Yes.
Okay.
He would count as one,
So you could run it by Miles and Rick,
yeah,
we could run it by Miles and Cat, or however you wanna do it, I don't care,
yeah,
but I don't wanna get into a situation where we're accused of it.
yeah.
Okay.
I would say it'd be Miles.
And then, and then if you guys all agree and say, well, we can do a special meeting and vote on it.
Yeah, Aaron's the one you'd go to the DA's office.
Aaron?
Etherington, yeah.
Yeah.
And you could,
So you might wanna put Cat on your committee.
Just you can say no? I don't know.
They said no to us at first as far as giving masks out, people come in the building, but David Prater is very smart, and as he said, we brought it to him in too big of a picture. Once we scoped it down, then we got it blessed, where we can do certain things. You just can't shotgun it, you gotta bring it down to where it's definitely identifiable.
All right.
Judge, if you make sure she gets it, to put it on the agenda for next month too, or for next month.
This CARES request, is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry.
no, you could do, you do a CARES request.
Okay, all right.
In my personal opinion, I don't think you need this board.
Okay, that's my question, but this board's been helpful in giving me feedback,
Yeah,
that's not necessary.
and I think the feedback that you've gotten, just take that and run with it.
Okay.
I don't know that this board needs to officially.
Write up what you were
act.
gonna write, and take it to Aaron.
And then if you got questions, please feel free to ask me or Kat, and just don't go over that limit.
And again, the value of this board is you've got 3 members who already sit on the budget board.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's definitely worthwhile. We get a lot of items on the budget board. So at least the more I'm familiar with, the better I feel.
The fact that your lawyer represents everybody who's pled in drug court.
I'm sorry?
I think the fact that your lawyer who represents everybody in drug court is very important.
Yeah, and we represent everybody, even if they had a private lawyer initially.
Right.
And the judge actually enters an
That
order.
right there is what I'm basing.
Yeah, Bob, I got the exact number, but it's around a $10,000 uptick in IOUs that we had to give out over the last 3 months, because no one's got jobs, no one can get anything. Anybody that was even getting a stimulus check, it got intercepted because they had tax problems or other problems. And so we've had to give out $10,000 in IOUs over the last 90 days, over and above what we normally do.
Which we don't have.
And so I was like, I don't know what to do with this. These are people that they can't find work, they can't pay for you, so we're helping them keep going, even at a reduced rate. I mean, these are people that are coming, we've cut their UH from 10 to 6, but they're making progress in the program, they're, you know, so I'm really proud of what we've done, but it's been very difficult keeping the wheels on the bus. Anyway. And also, thank you, Will, Sheriff, for helping us try to figure out a weekend jail sanction. So that did not work out, but, the jail trust, I think they're gonna try to step in and do that, so.
Great.
Thank
They've
you.
got that up and going.
Is it gonna
My
happen?
understanding is that it's up and going, and it happened last weekend, and so on and so forth. That's what I was usually.
Judge Elliott sent an email out with the name of the person, the contact person over at the trust.
Yeah, so that all should be up and running. That's what I was told.
It is, I checked Monday.
In the middle of that.
No, I checked, because I knew Judge Elliott, yeah.
Okay, because I haven't confirmed it. I will admit that.
That's all my comments, thank you.
Maybe, I don't know. For some reason, I think you need to know about this. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I think that there was somebody that, I think it's, for whatever reason, Scott's name is is in my mind, okay? Are you familiar with it? Okay.
Good, see you later.
Okay, as long as you know.
Yeah, we'll call if you need.